the interview, CM Punk gets his own back in a promo, calls out Hangman Page. Hangman Page, it's not in the script. He doesn't turn up. It makes Adam look stupid.
So you're talking about CM Punk is doing an interview live in the ring, calling out Hangman Page. Hangman Page was in the building or he wasn't in the building.
I still haven't established that. I don't know if he was not in the building or if he was in catering, but either way, he didn't know anything about this, so he ends up looking...
Well, if he was in the building, he still couldn't have answered it. Well, he could have, but that'd have been a really screwed up deal. But I think Punk called him out on purpose. And Punk was giving him a receipt for that other interview he'd done talking about workers' rights. He went into business for himself, which was the wrong thing to do, too. And Hangman Page remembered it. And the thing is this, when somebody does something like that, let me tell you how that works. They're like a bunch of kids a lot of times. Because when Hangman Page went into business for himself, all the people around Punk says, why'd you let him do that? And now he gets to thinking, okay, yeah, why did I let him do that? But he can always say, well, I let him do it because of, the business and we didn't need to air it out there, which is true. So when he went out and challenged Hangman Page, he was giving him a receipt back for what Page had done to him 2 or 3 weeks earlier. It's not missed amongst the people involved. They know what's going on. So that pisses off Page, and now we're off and running.
First question from a writer inner subscriber, Chip Bates. How does Dutch feel about allowing worked shoot promos and the risks?
The risks heavily outweigh the shoot part of it, unless it's controlled. Now you can see a few things where the people talk about. What was the one that Shawn Michaels said to Bret Hart?
Sunny days.
Having some sunny days. But everybody got that without going into detail. Everybody got it. Bret got it. Shawn knew what he was pitching, but he didn't really go into detail, and it wasn't as open as this in AEW is or was. So I think that if you're going to do a shoot promo, you got to have a guy in the back who's controlling these promos to regulate it. And Tony wasn't on top of it. Of course, they didn't tell Tony. I don't think they told Tony they were going to do it anyway. They just went and did it.
Do you think it needs like an intermediary so both parties can say, I don't want this said, I don't want this said, and then agree before anything happens?
This would have never happened under Vince. I had a crazy thought the other day. I said, Vince doesn't have a job. And maybe he could call up Tony and hire himself on. But that would have never happened under Vince. Because heads would have rolled that day. That as soon as it was said, Vince would have been up, screaming, throwing, ripping papers up, cussing everybody out that he could see, even though they had nothing to do with it. But that would have never happened under Vince. So an intermediary would help, but only an intermediary could help, only if they knew it was going on. This wasn't in any script anywhere. They got mad at each other is what it was. And let me tell you how that madness goes backstage. The guy's going up to Punk. Well, why didn't you let him say that? Okay. And in his head, it's rolling. I'll get him back. He does the Hangman Page where he knows he can't answer. That's his receipt back. That's when it starts. Now the little young bucks start on Page. What the hell was he talking? You going to let him get by with that? Now they're challenging him. What are you going to do? And then, they start talking. And then, of course, Punk gets word of that. And Punk starts talking. They get word of that. So it's a bunch of gossip going back and forth. And I don't know how Tony Khan missed it for 3 weeks. or more. What are your agents back there doing? Are they informing Tony there's a problem? And also remember, we heard through sources, and I hate to quote these sources, but they said there was a lot of backstage discontent. And when this is allowed to flourish, especially with your young talent, you do a disservice to them and to the company by either continuing it or letting it thrive. And I hate to say this, or telling Tony. Now, telling Tony at this point would be called in the business stooging it off or being a stooge. But sometimes some things need to be stooged off for the benefit of everybody. And I hate this happened to him. I don't think Tony knows what to do. And we'll get to the rampage in just a minute. But I think Tony, this took him by surprise.